Hi. It's me again. Been a while, hasn't it? You see, I kind of figured, I really don't have a whole lot else to say, right? I spoke my piece. I, said what I felt I needed to say. And I kind of figured I'd leave it at that. I mean, really, what else is there to really talk about, right? I mean, I can only say stop underappreciating this character so many times. I can only say, stop misinterpreting this thing so many times. You'd think. And I figured, that's good. I'll just leave this archive up here. People can check it. People will find it. Whatever. But no, couldn't leave well enough alone, could you? Y'all just had to go ahead and tick me off to the point where I just had to come back, didn't you? Because, we're dealing with the Dragon Ball fandom again. We're dealing with something that is namely a problem of consistency in this fandom. People who will say one thing and then turn around and say the exact opposite thing just so they can dunk on two characters they don't like for the exact opposite reason that they don't like this other one. It's kind of insane to me, We're also talking about, people who will want this character to be one way, but then turn around and want them to be the other way, right? Because that happens, specifically with someone in particular. That also drives me up the wall. We will be talking about consistency with how you choose to interpret a character's actions. Why does character X get a pass, but character Y does not? Even if it's for an equal or even worse offense. Character X will get the pass, character Y will not. Why? Well, let's just think about this for a second, okay? How many times have you seen somebody, right? They'll sit there, they'll be ragging about Gohan. What happened to Gohan, right? Gohan, he had the potential to be this uber badass warrior, right? Gonna be stronger than Goku, gonna take over the series. He was groomed for it. He was poised for it. He was gonna do it. And then Chi-Chi ruined him by telling him no and putting it into his head that it was bad and wrong and forcing him to study against his will and turning him into this neutered nerd. Right? You've heard that. I'm sure you have. It's stupid. It's bullcrap, but it is what it is, right? Right. It's common. The problem with it is, oh boy. They will then turn right around and go at Goku for being a bad dad. Why? Because he pushed Gohan to fight. And it would be one thing, okay, if this was like two completely different groups of people. It would. If it was two completely different groups of people, they'd both be wrong. Mind you, I want to point this out right now. They would both be very wrong, but at least, I could respect them having a consistent position on Gohan, right? Wrong. This is the same people. They will turn around and bag on Goku for being a bad dad because he forced Gohan to fight. He pushed him to fight Cell. He wanted to force him to be a warrior. Didn't matter what Gohan wanted, right? That's what they say. So which is it? Did Gohan clearly want to be a warrior, clearly walking that path, clearly destined for it, and then Chi-Chi ruined him? Or did Gohan never want that? He just wanted to live in peace, and then Goku tried to ruin him because he's such a terrible father. Which is it? I'm gonna need y'all to pick one. Pick one. Okay? Pick which one you want to be wrong about. Being wrong about both is just a terrible look, you guys. Like, really. If you have a completely contradictory position, but you're wrong on both fronts, do you have any idea how stupid you look? Do you? Alright, turn around. Goku being a bad dad at all, right? Goku's a bad dad. Why? Oh, he's never there for his kids, except he is. He's there. He was there for like 4.5 years. 5 years, actually, technically. because, he was with Chi-Chi then. So, there through the early years of Gohan's life, right? Then he died. How did he die? Saving Gohan. He died protecting his son. Comes back a year later. Saves his son again. Saves the planet. Manages to defeat evil invading aliens. Right. What happens then? He's laid up in a hospital bed. Can't move. Gohan and Krillin are going to recover a lot faster. Gohan and Krillin are going to be the ones who end up going dynamic. Goku is stuck in that hospital bed either until he fully recovers, which is going to take a long time, or until there are Senzu beans to fully recover him, whichever comes first. So, Gohan has to take off dynamic for 30 days. 30 days. It's a 1-month trip. Goku zips right there after him. Once again saves his son's life. Goes there for the express purpose of helping his son and his best friend resurrect their other friends. Right? Winds up acquiring a level of power he's never had before that he can't even fully control yet. Elects to stay gone 1 more year in order to learn how to control it. When he comes back, he still doesn't have it fully down. But guess what? He's spending time with his son for 3 years after that. Training with him. His wife, his son. There's this weird idea, for some reason, that when they were training for the androids for those 3 years, Goku just took off. Just disappeared. Went off on his own. It's like people completely forget that he was training with Gohan and Piccolo, both. He was training with them. People forget that. They flat forget it. I can't explain it. I don't know where... There are so many Mandela effects in this fandom. I'm not even joking. Where they will swear up and down that they specifically remember this specific event that never happened. And it's weird. That's a whole other topic we might touch on one day. Right? But for now, we're just focusing on this. The point is, Goku's there. Right? He's actually there more often than he's not. He's there with Gohan. He spends an entire year with Gohan in the Rosette, time chamber, whichever you want to call it. I like the Rosette since I've been on Twitter, just because it saves characters. But yeah, he's there more often than he's not. But apparently he's just completely absent from their lives. Never mind the fact that, when you see him in Super again, he's constantly hanging out with Goten, making time for Gohan. None of that, right? That doesn't matter. Doesn't count. He's just never in his kids' lives. Period. Right? Except he is. Okay, but follow me here. That, he's not a good dad because he's dead a lot, apparently. But then you turn around, you have Vegeta, right? You have Vegeta who cared so little about his son or the mother of his child that when Jiro shot them out of the air and their car was going to crash, he was going to let them die. He didn't care. He was too busy looking for the source of that shot. Trunks had to rescue baby himself and his mom. And when he, in a state of shock and anger, confronted his father on leaving his wife and child to die, what's Vegeta's response? That's ridiculous. I don't have any kind of use for that kind of sentiment. That's not me. I don't care about them. Leave me alone. Right? You following me? When he does finally decide to let Trunks be on the fringes of his life, trying to play along in the gravity room, ignoring him for the most part while he trains, right? What happens? He doesn't really take a notice of him or take an interest in, working out with him or anything. Stops ignoring him long enough to say, get out of here, this is a man's training. And finds out he can go Super Saiyan. And then learns that they're going to be competing in the tournament. And that Goku's son, his youngest, will be there, who is about Trunks' age. So what does he decide he's going to do? Train him. What challenge does he give him? See if you can even hit me. If you can hit me, I will take you to an amusement park. Right? Right. What happens? Trunks hits him. What happens? Vegeta breaks his dang nose in response to it. And it's not even really a reflex response. It's an anger response, okay? He feels that punch nick his cheek, and he just grits his teeth, eyes go wide, bam! Right in the kid's face. He was mad that he was able to do what he challenged him to do, frankly, faster than he thought he'd be able to do it. And given Vegeta's own inadequacy about his own strength, as we see throughout a good chunk of that arc, yes, he lost his temper and hit his son. He then later admits he's never held him so much as once, not even when he was a baby. Okay? Not even as a baby did he hold him. Never has he shown that child affection. And even before Super, okay, I'll give you this. He gets better in Super. He does. Much. And it's an improvement. But even before we got Super, when it was just Dragon Ball Z, right? Vegeta was declared to be the better dad. Why? Because he's there. That was the sole reason. Because he's there. Yeah, he's there. He's there beating his son. Like, bro, this is what I mean. You cannot say that someone who's actually kind to their children and spends time with them and everything is a bad dad because they're gone when they're dead. But then turn around and say that this guy, just because he has a physical presence in the household, even though he's not giving the kid any kind of affection or attention or warmth, even though he's hitting him out of anger, well, he's there. So he's a better father figure. That doesn't work that way. You can't turn around, okay? Here's another example. And say that Goku, right, is handed everything. He never really had to work for anything. He always had these teachers that handed everything to him. That's not how teaching works, by the way. I don't know if you've ever... Well, I don't know, based on your level of intelligence, you probably haven't gone to school. But that's not how that works. Okay? You don't magically just learn because you have a teacher. You have to work to learn what they teach you. But apparently, Goku's gotten everything handed to him and never really had to work for it because he had a teacher. But because Vegeta, went out there and beat himself up on his own, somehow, he's the one who's had to work for everything, right? He's the one who never had anything handed to him, never had any natural advantage. Never mind the fact, okay, that he did. Vegeta is a natural prodigy. Vegeta was achieving levels of strength faster than any other Saiyan. He surpassed his father, the King, who was one of the strongest Saiyans, if not the strongest, when he was still a child. Vegeta was freakishly strong, by Saiyan standards. Born that way. Naturally climbing that way. Bear in mind, Saiyans didn't train. They did very little of it. So this is all of Vegeta's just natural progression at this point. Goku's the one who's been able to train to improve himself. Constantly. Okay? We're talking about a gap in power when they first met, where Goku just spent a year training with a god on a high-gravity planet. Well, okay, 6 months. Training with a god on a high-gravity planet. Learning all these new techniques, and he still couldn't fully eke out the win without help. Okay? That is what we're talking about here. That is how ridiculous that notion is. But whatever. Vegeta, he does have all this natural stuff, but supposedly he's the one who's gone ahead and, worked for everything, right? But then these same people will turn around and talk about, why is Vegeta superior? Oh, well, he's the principal of Saiyans. It's his birthright, right? It's Vegeta's birthright. Vegeta's going to rise up and claim his birthright. Goku's a low-class Saiyan. Vegeta's a super elite. There is absolutely no way that he can let the insult of some low-class Saiyan surpass him. Oh, Vegeta's naturally better because Goku's stupid. He's got this low-class IQ and these low-class genes and everything else, and that's why everything's so much harder for Goku. But it just comes so much more naturally to Vegeta. He's got these high-class elite genes and elite intelligence and everything. So which is it? Is Vegeta more naturally gifted because of its genetics? Or is Vegeta having to struggle more than Goku, who's just handed everything? See, you can't have your own little meta here where you interpret things the way you want, but then you say, oh, well, the author's interpreting it this way and I don't like that. It's like you can't complain about what the author does, but then say this is what's really happening. You don't do that. You can't be consistent when you're doing that. You can't say, oh, I hate the fact that Goku gets everything and Vegeta has to bust his butt to get even scraps. But then turn around and say, well, Vegeta's just naturally superior to Goku. It's genetics. You can't do that. You're making contradictory points here. Your 2 points clash with each other. They would cancel each other out, for lack of a better term. In other words, you have no point. You're talking to talk. Right? Right. You follow me? No, probably not, because honestly, the fact I have to make this video probably indicates to me most of you won't even understand a word coming out of my mouth right now. But you know what? You done did it. You really have. So, I think this might become a thing again. I think you guys and me, we're going to have little talks. Old fandom grandpa here is going to have to set a lot of you straight. I don't really care if you like it. I don't really care if you like me. I mean, my sub count and my upload schedule should show that, right? No, the algorithm has no love for me. I got no love for it. I got no cares whatsoever if y'all decide to just ignore me or what have you. But we're having this talk. This is a thing that's happening. Okay? Fame, fortune, whatever. I'll leave that to other people. I don't care. I'm going to be the one taking the cane to your backside. Get used to it. We back.